Hi, how you doing? Somebody's asked me to do a review of the Shadow. There are a lot of videos out there about the Shadow, and there's a lot of talk from John Pyzel about the Shadow and where it comes from and what sort of board it is. So I'm going to talk about it in relation to my Quiver, where it fits into my Quiver. And I will also talk about me and the kind of boards that I need and also the waves that I ride, because every board is individual to the person and to the waves that they generally want to surf it in. So, firstly, me, I am 180 centimeters tall, 5'10". I am around 83 kilos, which is about 184 pounds. I'm an intermediate surfer now. I would have called myself advanced at one stage, but I'm in my 60s, so I've slowed down a little bit. And so I sort of class myself in that sort of intermediate range, but I do surf quite well. And I like to ride high performance shortboards generally because it allows me to do what I want to do with this surf that I surf in. So my surf breaks, I surf at my local beach. It's a very long beach break. There are a lot of places where you can actually go out, but they're essentially, in one way or another, quite similar. During summer, sort of 1 to 2, up to 3, 4, 5 feet. Waves are kind of a little bit soft, but they're still quite good waves when they come. During winter, they stand up a lot more, they barrel a lot more, and you can surf sort of anywhere between 1, 2, 3 feet and up to 6 feet. Over 6 feet, it closes out, and really you can't surf at that particular beach. I also surf quite a few point breaks, reef breaks, and so I want boards that perform well in those kind of conditions. So beach break, reef break, point break. So I should also tell you how I got to the Shadow. After I hadn't surfed that regularly for a few years, I bought a Gremlin. Really didn't like that board. Wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. It was too clunky. It was chunky. It didn't turn well. And so I got rid of that. I moved to the Phantom, which I liked a lot better. One of the things about the Phantom that I found problematic was when you were coming off the top or jamming hard cutbacks, the nose, which is a little bit wider, it would catch up on the nose here, and that was problematic. So I got rid of that and I got a Shadow, and I'm exceptionally happy with the Shadow. So this board, which is the Shadow XL. And the reason I ride XLs is because Pyzel makes shorter boards that have foam in them. He seems to be particularly good at doing that. And so I, at my age and sort of losing a little bit of strength, a little bit of flexibility, I still want to ride the shortest board I can, but with the volume that I want. And I've found that sweet spot in volume is between 36 and 37 litres. So this is the Shadow XL. It's 6'2", it's 20 by 2.88, and it's 36.8 litres, which is right where I want it. So Pyzel will tell you that this is a high performance shortboard. The widest point is at centre. Generally, high performance shortboards is back from centre, but this one's at centre. He's pulled in the nose from the Phantom, and he gave it a little bit extra kick in the nose rocker up here. It's got a single concave coming down through here to a slight double concave, and then a sort of a slight V out the back end. Pyzel says that this concave here essentially creates a bit of a flat spot, which makes the Shadow better in slower waves. But the other features of it allow it to be a really good high performance surfboard. So if you look at the profile, you can see it has a very slight hip here, which gives it a good pivot point. And he's pulled in the squash a bit so that you're still getting that sort of lift and that projection from the squash tail, but you're also getting a board that will hang in on steeper waves and barrels sections with this sort of pulled in squash. So in fact, that's what really these things plus the other elements help to make it a high performance shortboard, even though its center point is in the middle. And if you look at the thickness, Pyzel does a very good job of keeping foam underneath your chest so that you can paddle easily and get into waves. This board is based upon the design of the Ghost. So he's essentially taken the Ghost, squashed it down, and done a few other minor changes to it to make it a board that performs well in smaller surf. So I ride this board as a sort of one of the 4 boards in my quiver. So if you have a look here, you can see I've allowed you to see what the foil of the 4 boards that I ride are. So on the left is the RNF 96. The second board up is the Red Tiger XL, which if you look at that in comparison to the Shadow and to the Ghost, you can see that it's a little bit more flat across the center of the board. Now, Pyzel did that intentionally, obviously, because he wanted to have a board that went fast and smaller, weaker waves, and it is that flat section that allows the board to be good in those lower quality conditions. But he put quite a radical bottom on it with a very deep double sort of single up the very front, going quickly to a very strong double concave, and then into quite a radical V in that sort of back section with a light V up the tail. So if that board, in comparison to the Ghost, the foil on the Ghost and the foil on the Shadow XL, you can see that the Shadow XL and Ghost are quite similar, and that the Red Tiger is quite different. And if you look at the RNF 96, well, you can see it's actually got rocker all the way through, but because it's a wider board with a wide swallowtail, it's much better in smaller waves. If you also look at the profiles, you can sort of see how the Red Tiger is essentially the true high performance surfboard profile with the wide point back of center, whereas the Shadow XL and the Ghost are slightly front of center with more foam through them. So coming to this board, I've used the RNF 96 as my groveler. That's what I ride at my local beach break and some of the other beach breaks that I go to during the summer. It performs really well. It's the only EPS board. The other 3 are PU boards, but the RNF 96 is a great grovelly wave. It still performs well. You can do really good turns on it. It's fast. It's light, being EPS. But once you're out of those summer waves, I have stepped up to the Red Tiger XL. Now, before I got the Red Tiger XL, I was really riding the Shadow as my daily driver, but at 6'2" it was a bit long, and it also wasn't performing very well in very sort of slow summer waves, which is why I got the RNF 96. And before that, I had the Chile Black Vulture 2 at 6'2", and before that, I had the Machado Seaside at 5'10". So I found that this board, the Shadow XL, wasn't really performing very well as a daily driver. And so I went out and got the Red Tiger XL, which has now become sort of my daily driver board. Small waves, sort of 1 to 4 feet max. I will use it during the summer, and I will also use it during the winter when the waves are small but good. The Shadow XL, I find now, is really my go-to board for 3 to 6 feet. It turns really, really well. I can just stand up on it and forget about what I'm doing. And if I think about going somewhere, this board will take me there. And that is why I actually love it as a board. You really don't have to think about it too much. It's kind of get it wet and forget about it, and then just go out and have a good time. So that's why I love it, and it works really, really well in those conditions of 3 to 6 feet when the waves are better. And then obviously once you get up, I mean, you could ride this board in 8 foot if you wanted to, but I then switched to the Ghost and bigger waves, and that works for me. So the Shadow XL, as far as I'm concerned, it's a fantastic board. This is my second Shadow XL. I had one and I loved it so much I bought another one. The only reason I bought this one is because I'd had that board about 5 years, and being a PU board, for me it felt like it had lost its pop. I just wanted to get I wanted to get that pop back, so I just bought a new one. So if you're interested in the Shadow XL, I highly recommend it as a board. It suits me, it suits the waves I surf, and it suits the way I like to surf. And I'd love to be able to try this in a smaller size, but unfortunately, I can't get the volume that I want in a board smaller than this for this particular board. So that's why it's sort of my step up from the Red Tiger. And in fact, the Red Tiger XL is proving to be a really great board in those smaller conditions. So I hope that's interesting for you. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And I will be bringing you more videos in the future. So thanks for watching.